Okay, so in this series we're looking at how it's more difficult and we make worse decisions when we're in a new environment that we don't have the intuition and experience in, because our intuition and experience can unwittingly lead us to not always down the wrong path, but it can definitely block alternate decisions. So these assumptions and beliefs that we have can limit our thinking. I mean, perfect example of this is the working from home situation. I don't know how many people who are currently working from home doing a great job of it, probably, in January would have said, oh yeah, look, there's no way you can do my job remotely. It's got to be an in-person job. It's all about the people, the relationships, all that sort of thing. And it might be true that aspects of that are much better in person, but it's not true that you can't do it at all. We've obviously been forced into a situation where our assumptions and beliefs there didn't matter and we had to break them. So what about how can we do that to ourselves without forcing ourselves into it? But how can we break the assumptions and beliefs that might be holding us back from new ideas and new solutions for anything that we want to try it on, as opposed to only things where we're forced to actually move? So, example of this is, let's say you've got someone who creates a startup. It's just them and their mate at their dining room table when they first kick it off, and then does well. A couple of years later, they're actually running a team of people. They might have 7 or 8 people in the business now, and that's great. They're getting experience at running a team. From there, they make the terrifying leap to multi-team, which for anybody who's done that, that's where it gets really tricky. And they start to become basically the CEO or manager of a small business now. You've got multiple teams there. And if it goes beyond this, they might even get out of much of an operational role and be more of a figurehead of the company. Now, the experience they've built through that journey is obviously going to be useful for them. They can see things from the perspective of a developer and that sort of thing. So that's great. I'm not saying those experiences are bad. What I am saying is some of those experiences will negatively impact the decisions that they make. They won't make, that person won't be able to clearly think without having those assumptions and those beliefs that they have formed through this experience coming through. Now, what you want to be able to do is take all the benefits of that experience and get rid of the negatives of being hindered by the previous experience. So to do this, what we do is we look at the situation and list all of the reasons why it's true. What you're trying to do is you're trying to write down, you're trying to surface what those beliefs are. What are you assuming is true here? Get a big list of them, and that's nice, but where does that lead us to? That's where we can start picking our solutions from. Is if you get a big list, you'll look at it and you'll think, oh geez, 90% of this is true. That is really required for that. I do have to do that. However, what you'll find is there's 1 or maybe 2 in there where you think, those don't have to be that way. And those are the ones that you can use to change something. So, look at an example. Simple one for software. We can't go faster and maintain or increase quality. Now, why is that true? What are we assuming when we say that? Well, we're assuming that going faster decreases quality, that quality steps always slow us down, that going fast makes more bugs, that going fast creates more rework, that quality steps make us make slower decisions, that reviews slow us down, we can't go as fast, that no quality step that we introduce actually increases how fast we can go. So you start listening to that list and you might have heard a few of those and thought, well, that's not true. I mean, the last one's a great example. No quality step can cause us to go faster. Well, the moment you start looking at the impact of the rework required when either a bug is found or a developer goes away and does all this work on something and then it's found that something they did early on was actually wrong, and now they've got to go back and work through all of that again. If they just had maybe an extra review step early in the process, 20-30% in, then they could have caught that and that rework wouldn't be there. So it's clearly not true that no quality steps increase our speed. In fact, a lot of them do increase our speed. They feel slow in the moment, but longer term, they do increase our speed. So this is what we're looking at, listing out all the beliefs that you have to challenge them, to try and look through them. And as I say, you'll find that, yep, that one, I can't challenge it. That's true, that's true, that's true. What you're looking for is the one or two where you say, oh, no, doesn't have to be that way. And that's what gives you the opening to creative, out of the box, if you want to call it, solutions. Things you wouldn't have come up with unless you'd done this, because these are all the beliefs that, because they're beliefs, they sit in the back of your brain, sit there in system one, holding you, holding your mind somewhat captive, thinking these have to be the way it is. And unless you actively identify them and consider them with your system 2 brain, they're just going to be there, and you're not going to be able to overcome them and come up with creative solutions. So this is a technique to do exactly that. So if we look at how can you do this, if we look at our example from yesterday, one of the ones we had was, in order to build rapport, we need our client meetings. Okay, so in order to build rapport, we must have client meetings because, write a list. The only way to build rapport is face-to-face. Meetings are the best way to build rapport. Our company has always built rapport with meetings. There's no way to build rapport without meeting face-to-face. You have to be in person to get to know someone, and so on. Keep writing out this list. It might take a little while, but what you're looking for is something in there that actually doesn't resonate. Write it down. Don't filter in your mind, or else you won't write anything down. Write them down, no matter how dumb they are. If that's stupid, just write them down and then just move on to the next one. Doesn't matter. If you're shooting for a big list here, it doesn't matter how many are wrong. You only need one or two where you go, ooh, yeah, I can change those. The other 20 or whatever it took to get to that, doesn't matter what they are. You're just looking for those couple that you can actually challenge, and challenge your own belief set to create a new solution and change. Even more powerful is if that's a belief set held by your entire industry or your entire company, you can really create a pretty dramatic breakthrough solution that the rest of the market isn't going to have, by properly challenging those beliefs and changing them. So that's step number 2, and that's a really big one. So tomorrow we're going to be looking at, in the next video, how to do the previous 2 steps with somebody else's beliefs and assumptions. So that's another step tricky again. So make sure you do this on your own. You've got to be able to do techniques like this. You can never apply to somebody else unless you can apply them to yourself first. It just, it won't work. So you've got to do it on yourself first. That's kind of the trap. So do it on yourself first, and then have a look at how to do it with others. We'll see you tomorrow.